I hope that this camera angle is straight. If it's not straight, I'm gonna upload it anyway. Hi guys! I'm here today, still in my dorm, chilling, wearing my favorite t-shirt. It says, Taylor Swift is my wife. I will never get a divorce. We are going to do my seasonally reading wrap up, which I did one for fall, where I talked about the books I read in fall, because I simply don't read enough in a month to justify making a YouTube video about it. I usually only read 3 or 4 books a month. So sitting down and filming a wrap up for it feels weird. I can't justify doing a 4-book monthly wrap up. That's stupid. That's my plan for today. But first we're gonna do the life update section of the video. I'm going to see Maisie Peters tonight, which is why I look like this. I'm leaving directly after I finish filming this video. That's why my makeup is all done and I have blush and highlighter on. She's amazing. She's so talented. I met her yesterday. She did a signing at Rough Trade and that was really cool. What a sweetheart. I'm going home this weekend for spring break. Can't wait for that. I think that might be everything in terms of life updates. Let's get into the wrap up. I believe in my last video, the last book that I talked about was The Book Thief. The first book I read immediately after I finished reading all of my middle school books, which fucking took forever. So the first book was something I had highly anticipated reading, and it was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I wanted to read Ninth House because my friend Hallie never shuts the fuck up about it. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll finally read Ninth House. So I had planned for a while to read Ninth House, as soon as I was done with the middle school book thing that I was doing. And I quite enjoyed it. It's kind of has that dark academia vibe where at Yale, we're following our main character, Alex Stern, who is a part of a secret society at Yale, which the secret societies at Yale are a real thing. I was talking to Nate the other day, who is my bestie, and they were yeah, my school has secret societies. And I was like, what the fuck? Why doesn't my school have secret societies? Ninth House has some supernatural, magical realism element to it, which is really interesting. I mostly enjoyed it. I gave it 4.25 stars. I think it was a tad underwhelming in terms of I don't know, just the way I was going into it. I was expecting an actual romance between Alex and Darlington, but I didn't really get that, but I think it's okay. It wasn't pitched like that. I had just kind of assumed that from what I'd heard, so that was my fault. But I will say that I think the way that this book ended, if the sequel ever comes out, which I know Leigh Bardugo just said there was going to be an announcement about the sequel relatively soon, but I think the sequel is gonna bang. I think it's gonna be a really good sequel. Actually, I think it was in my best books of 2021 video, so really good, really nice. I'm very excited for the sequel. After that, I ended up reading an arc of Home Field Advantage by Dahlia Adler, which that was, I think, the first Dahlia Adler book I read where everything was written by her, because I had read His Hideous Heart, which is the short story anthology of Edgar Allan Poe retellings, which is edited by her. I can't remember which story she wrote in that, but I think it was one of the ones I didn't really like, but I really loved Home Field Advantage. So I believe this comes out in June. It is a sports romance between a cheerleader and a quarterback, except they are sapphic. They're both girls. Slay. In Home Field Advantage, we're following our 2 main characters. Amber, who is the cheerleader at her high school. She's gunning to be cheer captain, and Jack, who is the new quarterback for their high school. And basically everyone kind of hates that Jack is a girl. Everyone is what the fuck. So we basically follow Amber and Jack as Amber practically tries to fight for people to have basic human decency towards Jack, while also falling in love with her. And it's amazing. It's a great book. I really enjoyed reading it. It's just fun, but it also tackles a lot of really good subjects. There's a lot of sexism and misogyny written in the book, and a lot of Jack and Amber trying to fight through that. I think this takes place in Texas, I want to say. It was a really fun and cute read. I liked reading it a lot. I felt bad for Jack because I just wanted her to be treated like a person, but I guess Texas. I gave this book 4 stars. Next, I started reading my books for the vlogs I did where I read Kay's favorite books. Kay, my bestie. You can watch both of those. I will link them over here in the corner. I loved filming those, but it took so long. It literally took me like a month. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the books because I literally did entirely dedicated vlogs to them. But the first one I read was The House in the Cerulean Sea, which I absolutely adored. I gave it 5 stars. I fucking loved it. It's so good. I mean, like, it's one of those books where the hype is truly, like, deserved, I think. It really is. I know everyone describes it as, like, a hug, but it's true. Like, it's accurate. It's an accurate description. I super loved it. It was just very, like, aww. And, Lucy, we're like this. Me and Lucy, we're like this. And then I read Felix Ever After. I think I read this in like 2 days. It was fine. I think a lot of people love this book because they like connect to it emotionally. I didn't really do that. I don't know. I liked it. It was like fine. It was a fun little YA book about Felix, who is trans, and we're kind of watching him navigate a bunch of different types of love, like self-love, and him trying to figure out like what he deserves in a relationship. So it was definitely good, and I really I understand why a lot of people love it and connect to it. It just I didn't. So that got 3.5 stars from me. And then I read The Black Flamingo, which was really good. It's by Dean Atta, and it is about a boy, I think his name is Michael. Basically, we follow him from when he's like 6 to like when he's in college, as he goes through like himself, like figuring out his sexuality, dealing with his family, and through college, and he discovers drag. It is written in verse, which is cool. I don't know. I don't usually love books written in verse, but honestly, like this was a really beautiful book. The only thing I didn't like was I had to listen to the narrator's like British accent the whole time, which I guess is unfair because the narrator's the author. But I was just kind of like, British people, because when I hear British accents, it makes me want to start talking in a British accent, and that is so fucking annoying. That is so annoying. I don't want to be the British accent girl. Kay absolutely loves this book. I gave it 4.5 stars. I got to wrap up 2021 with possibly one of the best books I've ever read, and that is The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane. Oh my god. I talked about how much I love this book in like the vlog I did with this book, but holy shit, I love this book. It is so amazing. And the thing about this was I read this book because Kay loves this book and gave it 5 stars, but I would text Kay and be like, I fucking love this book. I love this book. I never want this book to end. And Kay would be like, can you please finish reading the book so we can talk about something else? The Charm Offensive is a romance. It's set on like a Bachelor-esque TV show, and we have Charlie, who's like the Bachelor, and Dave, who's like his storyline producer, and I loved it. It's so fucking good. So there's Charlie, who's like sort of uncomfortable with the whole situation, and then Dave is trying to help him like get through it so they can have a good show. But through that like process, they develop this connection and this relationship that is just it's so good. It is truly one of the most like, what's that word, like the opposite of toxic. Like they just help each other, and it's amazing and beautiful and adorable, and I fucking love it. And yeah, just oh my god, it's amazing. This is a 5 star from me. This was a 5 star. This was actually the first book I finished in 2022. It was a 5 star read, baby. Then to wrap up my vlogs, my K vlogs, that's what I refer to them as in my head. The K vlogs. I read Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. I'm actually currently reading another Alexis Hall book because I have an arc for Murder Most Actual, which is his like cozy mystery that's coming out. I think it comes out in November. Fucking love it. So cool. The way that Alexis Hall just writes Luke and Oliver is so real. Like they feel like real people. Even though it's kind of an absurd situation where we have like the fake dating with the tabloids and the son of the rock star thing. Like it's so like Luke and Oliver feel like real people with real struggles, and reading them is so interesting. I feel like I talked about this in a recent video. I think I talked about this book in my Romance Rex video, actually. I kind of forgot I filmed that. Oopsies. Luke is the son of a like rock star, but he's kind of like disgraced. We start the book with him ending up in the tabloids because he like falls in a puddle after a party. He's got these like BDSM like bunny ears on, and it ends up in like the tabloids, and then his boss is like, you need to figure something out because this is not gonna work. He's like, okay, fine. So he starts dating, or fake dating, a friend of a friend for like, to like rebuild his reputation. And then, guess what? It's a fake dating novel, so I'm sure you all can estimate what happens by the end. This was British in a way that was funny and not like casually annoying, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like some of the Britishness made it funny. I cannot wait for Husband Material to come out. I read the first 5 chapters on NetGalley, and I mean, I'm so excited. It's gonna be lovely. I keep getting denied for arcs though, so if anyone wants to send me an arc of Husband Material, I would be so pleased. I think it comes out in August, so yes. Okay, now, oh fuck. Next, I read Here's to Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. This is the sequel to What If It's Us, and I mean, it was fine. I just hated the ending of What If It's Us because, I mean, I'm just gonna spoil it for not Here's to Us because that hasn't been out for very long, so I don't want to spoil it. But What If It's Us, like, basically like had this whole like sweet build up of like a relationship, and I was like, oh, this is cute, like, you know, this is kind of a nice romance. And then they broke up in the epilogue, and I was like, so what was the point? Like, we had this big huge build-up of their whole relationship. We had gotten to the end of the book, like they had been dating for like 3 weeks, and then they like broke up. Like, why did we do that? So we could write a sequel? I guess that's why. So I read the sequel, and it was fine. I was never gonna give it any more than 3 stars because I was pissed about how the first one ended. But I did like the ending to this one way more. I thought it was really sweet. Like, at the beginning of Here's to Us, the sequel, Arthur and Ben, who are our 2 main characters, are dating different people. And I think we spent way too much fucking time on the dating different people thing. Like, that was, I don't know. Look, I think it was pointless, but it was still fine. Like, I read this really quick because I just wanted it to be done. It's like, I want to know what happens, but I don't actually give that much of a shit, so. Yeah, that's it. 3 stars. It was fine. I read a duology I have been highly anticipating reading since the first one came out in 2020. I wanted to read this so bad, but I was like, I have to wait until the second one comes out, because if the first one comes out and it ends on a cliffhanger, I'm gonna be pissed. So I waited for the second one to come out, and then my grandma got me These Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong for Christmas, and I read them like immediately. I was so excited. So These Violent Delights, if you don't know, is very popular. It's a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but it's in 1920s Shanghai, China, and like a fantasy thing. In this story, Juliet is the heiress to the Scarlet Gang in Shanghai, and Roma is the heir to the White Flower Gang. Look, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't give a fuck about them. I don't care. What I specifically loved about this duology is that, honestly, I'm gonna be so real with you, ever since 9th grade, I have been dreaming of a Mercutio Benvolio romance. And Miss Chloe Gong served that, okay? The only thing I cared about in this book was Marshall. I am so serious. He is everything to me. And at the end of the first book, I'm not gonna spoil it, but if you have read these books, you know how I was feeling at the end of These Violent Delights. I was losing my fucking mind. Which is why, like, I knew that I made the right choice about holding off from reading these books. Because if I had just been left with that, I would have been inconsolable. It would have been bad. Anyway, let me get back to like the plot. In these Violent Delights, Romeo and Juliet start working together to like figure out what's going on because there's like a plague like floating around China. I mean, it's fun, it's interesting, I like it. I just don't give a fuck about Romeo and Juliet. Well, I shouldn't say I don't care completely, because there was a point where I was reading Our Violent Ends where I was like, oh, I actually do care, but I don't know when that happened. Hey, it's nearly 1 in the morning. I'm editing this video. I'm still in my concert makeup swag. But I realized I never said the star ratings because I went on a tangent, but then I cut that tangent out of the video. So I gave These Violent Delights 4 stars, and I gave Our Violent Ends 4.75 stars because I felt like Chloe's writing like really improved. The next book I read was Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellafleur. Long ass name for no reason. This was highly anticipated for me, just because it's sapphic and the main character is an astrologer. So I was like, check, I want to read it. I kind of saw on TikTok that a lot of people were underwhelmed by this, so I was kind of like, okay, I still want to read it, but like whatever. It was kind of underwhelming, but it was also good. Like, I liked it. I'm not mad that I read it, but I'm not gonna keep reading. Like, Alexandria Bellafleur has 2 other books in this universe out. One of them is about Darcy's brother. The other one is about Elle's roommate. I mean, it was good. It was cute. I liked reading it. I gave it, what did I give it? 3.25 stars. The last book I have for this wrap up is one I actually really recently bought. I think I actually talked about this in my booktube newbie tag video, because I was talking about how I like books that are fucked up and crazy, and I had just bought a book that was kind of like that, and it was The School for Good Mothers by Jessamine Chan. And I just read it because I was like, after I read Written in the Stars, I was like, I can't do another romance. I want something fucked up and crazy. So I went with this. In this book, we follow Frida. She's our main character, and the book opens with her leaving her baby at home, who I think she was about like 18 months old or something like that, or maybe 16 months. Frida leaves her baby at home alone for 2 hours. And we're opening this book because the cops are calling her, being like, why the fuck did you leave your baby at home? You know? So we basically follow this journey. She is in big trouble. And she has to like go through this whole process of talking with the cops, dealing with social worker, doing interviews, stuff like that. And basically what ends up happening is she gets sent to a school where she learns how to be a good mother. And it's fucked up and weird. Like, she gets sent to this like big shut down university with a bunch of other mothers, and they're put into like classes based on like their children and like their gender and how old they are and stuff like that. I'm not gonna give away like the way that she's taught because it's not in the synopsis and I don't want to spoil it, but it's fucking crazy and weird. But it's kind of like a surveillance state thing because she's consistently being watched, and they're kind of like, every move you make, regardless of whether or not you're in class, like has to be in the best interest of your child. Like, you're not allowed to be selfish in any way. You're not allowed to be lonely. Like, you're not allowed to feel things that aren't like in relation to you being a mother. Because it's like, good mothers don't desire for human companionship, which is bullshit. Obviously. But yeah, this also had a really interesting like take on motherhood versus fatherhood, because there's also like a father's school that is not attached to this. Like, they don't really interact a lot, because when the fathers come to the mother school and the mothers are talking to them and the dad's like, what the fuck, like that seems so much harder. This was good. I enjoyed reading this. It was fucked up and weird and exactly what I wanted. So I gave it 4 stars, and that is it. Those are the 12 books that I have read since my last wrap up. I hope you enjoyed. Tell me what you've been reading. What did you read in these lovely winter months? Let me know. And if you've read any of these books, please let me know what you think. Thanks for coming. Love doing this, as usual. Yeah, comment, tell me literally anything. I just want to talk to you guys in the comments. Yeah. Thanks for being here. Doja Cat started a live video. Says my phone. And he's got these like BDSM not cat ears. You know, we're gonna move on from that actually. I hope you can't hear that fucking construction. They're building like a skyscraper next to the dorm, so it's really fucking annoying. There's some guy like banging a metal pipe, I'm pretty sure. I think that's all he's doing. Not to float my own boat or whatever the fuck the phrase is, but toot my own horn, float my own boat. Is that a phrase?